Well, hello friends, and welcome to another WSIB Truth Matters with Joe Machado, where I separate the truth from bullshit, facts from fiction, in plain English. Today I'm going to share with you 3 key or effective tips of dealing with the WSIB. This is based on over 35 years of experience in dealing with these people. Every time I throw out that number, I'm reminded of how fucking old I've become. But I feel really good, and I feel as energetic and as ready to rumble as I ever have been. But I do want to share this with you because I see this happen way too often with individuals who want to handle their case, which I think is fine. But then when things happen, they're not quite able to address the issues. And then, of course, panic sets in and everything goes to shit. So anyway, without further ado, let's get at it. All right, my friends. So 3 effective tips of dealing with the WSIB. There are a lot of different strategies that one can employ in dealing with them. Professionals, whether it be lawyers, paralegals, maybe some union members. And everybody sort of has their own style. They do things their own way. I have a particular method of how I operate and how I address issues with the WSIB. They know that because a lot of them have a very distinct signature. And they know that I'm usually involved when certain things are happening that normally don't with these case managers and return to work specialists and managers and so on. They're used to me for sure. And at the forefront of all of that is being blunt, being straightforward, and really no time for bullshit, right? So this can rub people the wrong way sometimes, but hey, at the end of the day, if I'm effective at helping our members succeeding with their cases, then that is really the #1 goal for me. And of course, with this channel, I like to provide as much information as possible about laws and policies and what works and what doesn't and those sorts of things. So today it goes along those lines to some extent. I always begin with the premise that the WSIB, whether it's a case manager, return to work specialist, nurse consultant, or whomever, I always begin with the assumption that they're going to drop the ball somewhere. Because they do. And I don't know if that's because they're too complacent in their job, whether they don't know anybody any better, whether they're lazy, or whether they just don't give a shit. But I find that inevitably they drop the ball. And so you have to be effective at addressing issues that come your way, and not by initiating a whole storm of action, meaning repeated calls to case managers and return to work specialists and customer service people and everybody else under the sun. That doesn't do you any good. You're just going to get frustrated because nobody responds that quickly. But if you do things in an organized manner, in a deliberate manner, then you can ensure that your issues will be addressed in a timely manner at some point. Now, it doesn't necessarily have to be the way you want it addressed, but it will be addressed if you follow these 3 tips. So the first one is communication. It all begins with communication. And for those of you who are members and are watching this show, and for those of you who are watching for the first time, I always advise our members to not communicate in writing with no one at the WSIB. Okay? I have many reasons for that, and I can elaborate extensively on those reasons. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to say 3 key words. Actually, it's 4. I don't trust them. All right? I don't. Doesn't matter who it is. So, I always recommend that you communicate with them in writing, because when you communicate in writing, whatever it is that they're communicating about, whether they need information, whether they're requesting some kind of a clarification on some issue, whether they're making a decision to deny benefits or entitlement to a pension or CPD or psychotraumatic or non-economic law, whatever the case may be, if it's in writing, they have to own it, right? And you've probably heard that saying, you can't unring a bell. Well, if it's in writing, this is the way they stated what it was that they needed or what it is that they're deciding. Then you have an opportunity to review it, to think about it, to speak with someone who's helping you with your case, like, for example, our firm or a law firm or a paralegal firm or whomever. Get some feedback so that when you're addressing the issue, you're making an informed decision about it. You're able to do that in a manner that is forthright, it's thorough, it addresses the requirements within the law or medical evidence or whatever the case may be, but you're doing it after you've had an opportunity to think about it and get some advice and then proceed. Okay? Makes sense. I find that often helps, because sometimes if a case manager is pounding his or her chest because they want to make your life miserable and you force them to own things, then if you have to take the next step, which is to go to their supervisor, then you've got some stuff rather than just your words. Because I can tell you this, your words don't mean shit to these people. They may think it does, or they may want you to think it does, but a lot of times they just do whatever they want, regardless of whatever you have to say and whether you like it or not. When it's in writing and you have to escalate the matter, then you have something tangible to deal with. It's no longer just your word. It's something that somebody else wrote that is there in black and white. If you need to speak with them, or if you find a need that you should accept their calls, then record the call and let them know, I'm going to be recording this call. And if they don't like that, then you can tell them, well, listen, why don't you record the call? I have no problem with it. I've got nothing to hide. And you guys, by the way, you say that you record calls for the sake or for quality purpose. Well, this is a quality discussion that I want to have, and I want to make sure that it's recorded, right? If you have a problem with that, we can do a 3-way call, and I'll have somebody else on the line. We can arrange a conference call. That person can take notes to ensure that the record is accurate, right? Or better yet, if you don't want to record the call and you don't want me to record the call, if I'm going to agree to this, now I'm really suspicious about having a call with you, but let's take it to the worst case scenario, then just say, listen, no problem. When we're done our conversation, right, I'd like you to write out what you're stating in this conversation, as you are going to be putting in a memo, right? And please email me a copy of that memo. That way I have it for my records, and I can ensure that it is an accurate reflection of the call that we had, right? Friends, I know that I'm maybe belaboring this point, but trust me, if I'm going to give you 3 tips, pay attention, because they're not just shit that I pull out of the sky, right? And if you think it's too long for you, then just tune off, find something else to do. Always request updates to your claim file so that you know on a regular basis that what's being said about you is accurate. And if it's not, then you have an opportunity to correct the record by sending them a message. Make sense? Number two is follow-up. You see, one thing that makes someone who deals with the WSIB as a representative, whatever their title is, lawyer, paralegal, union, whomever. If they're really good at what they do, they understand the importance of follow-up and tracking, creating a record. Writing some notes down in a journal, it's okay. But if you keep it documented in a record in a format that they've created for you, better yet, because now you're updating yourself and them as well. We have a neat tool on our app. It's called the e-log, and our members love it because they can track everything that's going on with their case. They can upload a document. They can do a voice recording and upload that recording, and it's on the server. And anytime that it's required for either a hearing or a tribunal or even a meeting, they know that they can rely on that information because it's accurate. So maintaining a good record is important, and it's even more so important when it comes to follow-up. Here's the thing about the WSIB, and you probably will agree with this, right? They're not in a hurry to do anything, right? The fact that you've been cut off for 2 weeks or 2 months or 2 years, it doesn't really mean shit to them, right? It only means something to them when it affects their own paycheck, right? When they had to do a walkout and strike, and not too long ago, right? Still in recent history, right? That's what matters, that they get paid, that they make sure they get paid. But when it comes to you, for the better part, I don't think that really matters. So their timelines aren't really that great. So anytime that you submit a letter, and we have certain follow-up letters, form letters, that are tools in our app as well that can be done in a matter of seconds, really, and uploaded to the WSIB. You're going to make sure that you create a schedule as to how you expect things to happen. And they can either push back or they can comply with it. So for example, if I'm sending a letter that I've submitted information that you required to determine loss of earnings for this period to this period. It's been submitted. I have confirmed with customer service that the document is there. I uploaded it through my online account. So I've also received the confirmation email that it was received by the WSIB. I've also taken a screenshot of the confirmation that it was received. And I spoke to customer service and they confirmed that it's there and that it was assigned to you. So that information has been presented, and I will be following up with you in 2 weeks' time if you haven't responded before then. Right? Now, you start the clock. The clock starts ticking. You write it down, and in 2 weeks' time, you follow up. So that person is going to do one of three things. Ignore it, which I see them do often. Respond and say, I've received your letter, I've confirmed that it's here, and I'm going to tell you however long I need to review it and decide it. Or, yes, I've received it, I'm working on it, and you can expect a response within a certain amount of time. So that will then establish your next step. So the next step is nothing happens within that 2 week period, and none of those three things that I just told you happened, or they did, but there wasn't a decision, nothing was action, right? Beyond them just doing lip service or send you a letter, but not following through with the commitment to have it completed, yada, yada, yada. What do? You send the first level follow-up letter. It goes to that person. Now you give them 7 days. You failed to do this, this, and that. Again, that's all in our app. These are easy to be ready to complete, and with all the proper terminology, the language that they understand, right? And it's uploaded. So then you confirm again with customer service. Yeah, it's here. It's been sent to the case manager or whomever you're dealing with. They have it. So now you're on the clock, 7 days, right? If there's no response within those 7 days, now you take the next level. You go to the supervisor and you do the same thing. And we have a second level follow-up on our app where you can do that, and it's addressed to the supervisor. It's got all the proper terminology. These are tools that work, that require very little, if no effort on your part. But now you've got a supervisor involved. You've escalated the matter. But more importantly, you have a string of communication, most of which was prompted by you, because you seem to be the only one who actually has a vested interest in getting this resolved. You send it to the supervisor. The supervisor's on the clock, and if the supervisor doesn't respond within 7 days, don't give the supervisor 2 weeks. They don't need 2 weeks, because all the letter says is, I've been addressing this issue with this person. This is how your policy states that I should address issues of this nature. I've had no action whatsoever. I need you to get involved. Give them 7 days to do that. If they don't respond or acknowledge your letter or anything, then the next one goes to the director. The director doesn't like to receive these letters, and they will take action. Very, very seldom do you have to go further than that. But sometimes you do. We have the tools to make that happen. So the bottom line with all of this is that you're creating this record that in the event that you have to be at a hearing or the tribunal, and they look at this and they look at the fact that you've made every single effort to deal with every fucking person in this organization to get issues addressed, and they just stonewalled you the whole time, the tribunal will look at it and say, yeah, I know, I see this happen a lot, right? And most likely, if your case has merit, you're probably going to get it, right? Because the tribunal doesn't like to put up with bullshit, and they're aware of the shenanigans of the WSIB. This is an easy process. Like I said, we have these tools on our app, but you can do a lot of this through your online account. And if you haven't got one, set one up, and then you can just go online, right? I'll put an image here on the screen, and right at the bottom it says log in. So you log in, and then you're in your account, and then you can submit documents, you can send them an internal message. There's so much you can do there. And what happens, the beauty of that is that everything is tracked by them, right? Nobody can mess with it. They're not going to pull some document out of your file. That's not going to happen. These are systems that are within their back office framework that will be very, very, very helpful for you. So follow up. Number 3, assessing and responding to decisions. The WSIB has a requirement to make decisions based on the law and policy, and there are certain key elements that they are required to write in their decision so that you understand the basis for that decision. Okay, the policy is 110102. Go on WSIB policy 110102. It'll come up and you can read through it. But when you review a decision, look for those elements. Make sure that they are in that decision. And if they're not, if even one of them is missing, then you write a letter and you ask for that issue to be clarified. And you follow the same process. Upload it through your online account, confirm with the customer service person that it is on your file and that it is sent to the case manager or the person who made the decision. And now you follow up just like I explained in tip number 2, right? So these are effective tools that you can use to ensure that your issues are being addressed, that they're being addressed in a timely manner, and that all of the proper and required information is in a decision letter so that you can address it. If it's a letter from the WSIB requesting certain information, you follow the same process. Look at the information that's being requested, find out if you're able to address that information, and then respond, and then follow the point number 2 again, which is the follow-up process. If you do these 3 things, you will keep things moving forward in your claim. You won't allow them to move your case to some other area because it's too complicated. They don't want to deal with it. And then you follow up in 3 weeks' time and nothing's been done, right? So the best thing you can do for yourselves, my friend, is follow up, follow up, follow up. Stick to this process. You're either going to get results or you're going to move through appeals, but you're not going to be stuck in limbo. One of the things that we always do, that I recommend you do, which is to add the standard paragraph to every letter that you send in to the WSIB. I'm going to put it up on the screen, and here's what it states. So you write your letter, whatever it is that you're trying to address, and then end with this paragraph. Okay? Here's what it states. I acknowledge and agree to my requirement to cooperate with the WSIB as described in WSIB Policy 220103 to provide the WSIB with any information necessary to adjudicate my claim, to cooperate in healthcare measures to the WSIB considers appropriate, to undergo an examination by a health professional selected and paid for by the WSIB, and to undergo an examination by a healthcare professional selected and paid for by the employer if directed by the WSIB. I further agree to cooperate in all aspects of the return to work process, including return to work assessments and plans, provided it is suitable and safe and with my doctor's advice. The reason why I think that's so important is that you're always writing in every communication you have with these people that you want to be cooperative, that you are cooperating. Okay? Always do that, because they love to use that non-cooperation policy to screw over injured workers and reduce or stop your benefits, just sometimes because they just don't want to fucking deal with you. Okay? So if you put that paragraph there and it's front and center, anytime you need to escalate your matter because you're being deemed uncooperative, that paragraph will come to help you, because it states right there that that's what you want to do. Now, if your doctor doesn't want you to return to work, that he doesn't think it's safe, that he doesn't think is suitable, and has recommendations for further treatment or whatever the case may be, then you're going to listen to your doctor, not these schmucks. If they want to overrule your doctor and ignore all the other parts of that cooperation that you just put in there, then that's an issue that they have to deal with. But I can tell you, it will not stand if they're trying to deem you uncooperative when you are clearly stating that, yes, you're being cooperative, but you're also following your doctor's recommendations. And it'll serve you well if you have to get into an appeal situation. Okay, my friends, so I'm going to finish with this. You should always have a level of urgency in dealing with adverse decisions. Of course, it's your life, it's your claim, it's your case, and if you're not getting paid, it can turn your whole world upside down. But this is what I find happens very often, right? People let things go as long as they can, and they let them go as far as they can, hoping that the inevitable, what their gut is telling them is going to happen, won't happen. And that is a scenario with the WSIB that could end up with you having your benefits reduced or stopped. This happens all the time. I can tell you this, if you follow these 3 tips that I just provided, you might be able to manage your way through, but I don't think in a lot of cases it's enough. Because dealing with these people is a whole different animal. And oftentimes you don't even know what your rights are. But if you decide that you want to manage your case, that's fine, no big deal. However, this is what I need you to understand. When the shit hits the fan and a decision is made to discontinue treatment, to reduce your benefits, to force you into a return to work program that you can't handle, your doctor's being overruled. If these issues come to a head and you didn't take the adequate time or steps to address them, then you have a problem. I'll be blunt. No one has the ability to call the WSIB and have your issues resolved with a phone call. It's not going to happen. It just isn't. And any lawyer or paralegal who respects their reputation and their capabilities and the work that they do, and the work that they do that is appreciated by the tribunal. They're not going to deal with your case without having reviewed your file first. They're just not going to. They can tell you they are, but they're not, right? They need to know the facts. They need to know what's going on in your file. Because A, they could do something that could be detrimental to your case, or make them look stupid in the process. So don't expect that those things are going to happen quickly. To get a copy of a file takes about 30 days. I don't think it should. I disagree with that 100%. We're doing something in the background to try and make sure that that gets shortened. But 30 days to get your file, then that lawyer or paralegal already has cases, ongoing cases, where things need to happen. They're not going to drop that and put your file in queue right off the bat. I'm telling you the things that lawyers and paralegals, a lot of people won't tell you, but I'm telling you that. Not because I want to berate you or anything. I just want you to be aware of the consequences of not taking action, because then you set yourself up to be disappointed. Nobody is going to do that quickly. I can promise you that. And if they do, they don't know what the hell they're doing. All right? So you're probably 6 weeks into it now. Before anything gets done and gets to the WSIB, submissions are made, presented, arguments are presented, and all of these things. Right? So you're 6 weeks to a couple of months. So if you're going to delay, beware that this is the way that the system works, and nobody's going to change that. Now, you have the Office of the Worker Advisor as an option, but they have a huge backlog. I don't know how many months, but they do. But they'll request the file as well. The Fair Practices Commission, well, you know about how I feel about them. Watch one of my videos. I have nothing to say about them except for, in my opinion, they're useless. In my opinion, you can have a union member, but again, some of them are really good. Others, they're just doing this on a casual part-time basis. And then there's the so-called Facebook experts, right? And I see some of you requesting information, and some of these Facebook people spewing crap that just, if you want to go with a Facebook expert, go for it at your own expense, right? Better yet, ask that Facebook expert how well they've done with their own case. Come on, right? If you have a health issue, you're going to go to your doctor, right? You're not going to go to your neighbor down the street or go on the Facebook group and say, oh, this is going on with my heart. I'm not sure. What do you think? Come on. It doesn't happen. No responsible person does that. So, but do it at your own risk. The bottom line is there are so many variables that can come into play when addressing a particular issue or case. There could be a number of different issues involved. And to be able to address it properly, it takes a thoughtful review, an in-depth knowledge of the law, not just reading a couple of sections. Oh, okay, yeah, I know how this section works. So that's what I really wanted to impart as well. The three key elements. Follow those. I know they're going to help you. But if your sense of urgency is such that it only takes place when the shit hits the fan, then you're going to be waiting for a long time before somebody actually gets to the point where they're going to help you with it. And don't be upset over it, but that's just the way it works. All right, my friends, once again, I enjoyed taking the time to impart some more of this valuable information, some of these tips that I think can be incredibly easy for you to do to manage certain aspects of your case. And hopefully you never need anyone's professional help to do that. That's ideally the best case scenario. All right. If you've tuned in for the first time, I invite you to become a subscriber. It's free. Ring the bell so you get notified every time I come out with a new video. And please share my videos with others, because I know there's a lot of people, thousands of people around this province who need help. And we're here to help them. To learn more about the WSIB settlements, just go on our website. And we have a lifetime membership that we've just launched. All right. We're very excited about that because I have not come across anyone in the last 30 years that has an issue with WSIB that gets addressed and then they never have to deal with it ever again. So we have a lifetime membership. Anytime you need something, we pick up where we left off and we continue to help you with your issues to the point where they're dealt with. All right, my friends, and as always, and until the next time, take care.
We know that connecting with the right lawyer or paralegal to handle your case can be overwhelming. Do they have the expertise to handle your case? Do they have a good track record? Are they affordable? We've got you covered. Legal Pro Connect takes the guesswork out of finding the right legal provider. We've already done the vetting for you and connect you with the right lawyer or paralegal. With the expertise to handle your specific issue and at preferred rates. Get connected today. Visit www.wsibsettlements.com.